Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday Live. I am Bethany Zell. I'm the Program Director for Healthy You at Cary Medical Center. And this month, through the month of August, we are focusing on wellness in recovery. And so a lot of people are maybe wondering, what is recovery? What is recovery all about? Well, I am being joined today by Karen Gorman, who is the Program Director of the Building Communities of Recovery program. And this is all being done through a grant through the Center for Advancement of Rural Living. And some of us in Aroostook County know that as CARL. So welcome, Karen. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Bethany. Thank you for this opportunity.
So I guess, we've had a lot of questions. We've been sharing some great information all throughout the month about recovery and how you can focus on your wellness in recovery and why that piece is important. But maybe you could take us a little bit further back to some of the foundations and talk about what is recovery at its core level. Like, what does that mean to be in recovery?
Well, there's actually a formal definition of recovery, and then I'll bring it home to everybody. The formal definition is that recovery is a process of change through which people can improve their health and wellness, live self-directed lives, and strive to reach their full potential. And this is in all your areas, your health, your home life, your whole purpose, your community. And I just like to say that recovery is for everyone, because if you've ever experienced any kind of adverse event in your life, whether it be, economic, financial, illness, behavioral health crisis for yourself or someone in your family, or even a divorce, you've had to recover from that event. Okay. You've had to work on possibly going through a series of changes to improve your health and wellness and forge ahead to make your life better and improve your health and wellness. So I think on the very basic level, as you say, everybody has experienced recovery in some form. And so what we're working on, and I think this is a point that we really do need to make in this work, because primarily our work in recovery is kind of along the lines of, prevention and of substance use disorder. And a lot of people think of recovery in that scenario. And yes, primarily we're working on that. Primarily our project has to do with recovery from substance use disorder. But I feel that everyone in the community can identify with recovery at some point in their lives, even though we know that 1/3 to 1/4 of us are touched specifically by substance abuse disorder. Either someone in our family.
That is a sad statistic.
It's very sad, and I think a lot of us don't like to talk about that and admit it.
So what does CARL have to do with recovery then? The Center for the Advancement of Rural Living. How does that tie in? It seems like I'm not real sure how that fits.
Okay, for sure. So actually, I was one of the founding members of CARL, and we started CARL to promote anything and everything that was going to improve the quality of life in Aroostook County in a rural area. And we know that health and wellness is a priority in a rural area. And okay, so enter the opioid crisis. And it becomes a big deal. And there are a lot of opportunities because of the immense problem. There are a lot of opportunities to try, and a lot of, just a lot of efforts to alleviate the opioid crisis. And so CARL was able to take advantage of some of this and step in. And one of the things that CARL amazingly has done is supporting a grassroots organization in the county called Recovery Aroostook. And Recovery Aroostook started actually almost 10 years ago with a small group of people that wanted to do something. That was when the opioid crisis first came to light. There were a lot of deaths in Aroostook County, and it's only gotten worse. And there were some events and a lot of participation back 10 years ago. And CARL has become an agent of change for Recovery Heuristic. Carl is a nonprofit, so is able to receive funds through the federal government or foundations or whatever. And Carl has really stepped up to support Recovery Heuristic. And the most visible way that Carl has supported Recovery Heuristic to date is the establishment of the first recovery residence in Aroostook County. It's for men. Carl was able to acquire funding and grants to literally buy a house, fix it up, and create a model home for men that need a transitional place to live in their recovery from substance use disorder.
So this is like a sober living house?
Exactly. That's another way of putting it. There's it's all certified by the Maine Association of Recovery Residences. And it's been very successful. We've gotten a lot of good press on it. We've had a lot of men go through, not too many, it's only been around a year, but it's a very structured environment for men that need that. They do have certain rules and they pay rent and things they have to go by in their sobriety and in their recovery, and then they move on and make a place for someone else to take.
And I think that's awesome, because especially when you're just getting out of substance misuse treatment, you need that stability and that foundation to be strongly in place. And so this gives them skills at having the responsibility of paying some rent and paying some bills that they may not have been used to, and then hold them accountable for their commitment to their recovery, right? And create that safe space.
Yeah, structure is needed. We hear the story about somebody that gets out of jail and for example, for a drug offense or whatever, and who comes and picks them up? The friend. And then they're right back where they started. Okay. So we talk about in recovery, we talk about people, places, and things. And so we want to find those people, places, and things that are going to support us in our recovery, not detract us from our recovery.
So is this why it's important for the community to be aware of recovery, because we all kind of play a role in that? Or are there other reasons that it's important for community to be involved in the recovery movements?
Oh, important, because once people really understand and can identify, as I mentioned earlier, with recovery, they seem to develop a little more empathy for people in recovery. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stigma out there against people that have been affected by substance use disorder. A lot of stigma and a lot of stereotypes and stigma is negative thinking, right? So substance use disorder is like any other medical condition, and the community should support anything that they can do to help them recover, remembering that even though people may not want to talk about it, that they're not too far removed from substance use. Okay, so
yeah. It can happen to anyone, anywhere. I mean, it's not partisan, it's not male or female. I mean, we're seeing these trends, commonalities, rich, poor. I mean, all of these things don't make a difference. Substance misuse and substance addiction can really affect any family, any life.
Yeah, in fact, the motto for National Recovery Month, which is September, is recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, every community. And I'd just like to say that I'd like to applaud the Caribou City Council, first of all, for their support of the Men's Recovery House, which Recovery Heuristic appeared before them several times to explain what they wanted to do. And the council was supportive, and the council last Monday night signed a proclamation and taking a stand in favor of National Recovery Month. And we had some discussion, and some people actually admitted that this did touch them. And you could visibly see, it wasn't a huge crowd, but you could visibly see that people were touched and reached just through the action of signing a proclamation. It made a huge statement.
It does. It creates that awareness that is so essential to get these conversations started in our communities so that we can overcome that stigma. And you're not the first one that I've talked to about this stigma around mental health and substance misuse and disuse. It's so essential that everyone in our communities take an active part.
Yeah, one thing that we'd like to do is we'd like to encourage people to celebrate their recovery. In fact, to help reduce a stigma outside, there's nothing like a great story, right? A real life story of hope. And we want to find those stories of hope in the community and put them out there. And one of the things that I think has prolonged the stigma is the fact that people in recovery feel this stigma and don't want to talk about it. And I feel that the more people that celebrate their recovery, it will build this community of recovery and support more people in turn and these conversations so that more recovery will happen. And that's the whole purpose of our project, is to create the support in the community for people in recovery. And we actually will be doing storytelling workshops to help people focus on not the past, but on what happened, what changed, and how it is now, and to celebrate their recovery so other people can share in hope.
That's awesome. So is this kind of what recovery is now beginning to look like in Overstick? Are trends changing? Are you seeing any of these stigmas kind of breaking down? What is it looking like as we're going forward?
It's a little early to tell, but in fact, we will be doing some measuring and some surveys, okay, for the person that gave us this grant, because they want to know that their money's being well spent. We're working with a consultant who is going to help us determine just that by surveying the people in recovery. And okay, so we're going to survey them now and say, something like, how supported do you feel in the community? How much stigma, whatever. I'm not sure what the questions are going to be, but how do you feel about it? How do you feel welcomed in the community or whatever? And then in a year or 9 months or whenever, we will survey them again and say, how do you feel? So there are actually ways, I'm not the statistician, but there are actually ways to measure statistically if this is happening. And my colleague, Kristen Henry, who's working very closely with Recovery Heuristic, she's a community engagement specialist. And we are just working, we really feel, and we've gotten some verbal feedback from people. They're getting very excited. They're feeling very energized that recovery is going to be more celebrated in this community.
And I think that those celebrations, I think that they also empower people who might still be struggling to realize that recovery is possible, and you never know whose life you're going to touch with your story. Your story may be parallel to someone else who hasn't asked for help or hasn't reached out for help or seen that there's a way out for them in their struggle. And to get those stories more seen could be life-changing for any individual who might happen upon them.
Well, I just want to let you know about, we have the recovery residence that we talked about. We are currently constructing a women's recovery house, also in Caribou. The funding has been procured for that, and that's happening. There are some events coming up. I just like to say, and all of this activity helps us to promote recovery and healing from substance use disorder. The last day of the month is International Overdose Awareness Day. There's going to be ongoing all day. You can, and this is a great resource too, the Roads to Recovery Community Center, which is right prominently on the corner of Water Street and Main Street in Caribou. Anybody can walk in there at any time to find resources for themselves or for loved ones. Okay. But all that day they'll be open, and with providing luminary bags, little candles in the paper bags, for the bags to be decorated just to celebrate recovery or in memorial of somebody that, has been, struck with this disease, substance use disorder. And then at 6:30, so all these luminaries will be put out alongside of Main Street, going up to the little park, which would actually be south. It's between the downtown area and the old church. There's a little park there, and there's going to be a little kind of a celebration. There'll be some speakers. It's all about, I know overdose awareness sounds a little bit, I've had some experience in my close family with overdose, and it's not pretty, okay? But this Overdose Awareness Day is all about hope, okay? We are going to talk about hope and recovery in Overdose Awareness Day. And so we like to encourage anyone who wants to support and find out more to come out either to the recovery center during the day or show up at 6:30 to hear some speakers. There's also something happening, I think it's the 25th of September on Saturday. There's a concert, hopefully, at the Caribou Performing Arts Center. That's a celebration of recovery with some recovery stories, but it's a music concert by a nationally touring group called the Story Tour. And you'll see posters around, and the tickets are $10 a piece. There may be some ways to get other ways to get tickets. And I would say contact myself and my coworker if you'd like to go. And purchasing a ticket is not possible for you, because we would like to make it possible for anyone to get to this concert. So that'll be the evening of the 25th. And I just wanted to encourage people to help celebrate recovery by attending some of these events.
Those are really great practical ways to really get out there and help support this initiative in our community. So that's awesome. And we're definitely going to share links on how you can get connected and find all these events. And just speaking from my own personal experience, having attended the Overdose Awareness Candlelight Vigil, it is so powerful. So if you can make it out, it is so moving and so powerful to hear those stories. The couple of years that I went, one of them, there was a mom and a husband from the Bangor area who shared about their two sons who both died of overdoses within a couple of years of each other. And oh my goodness, the power of their story and just their courage and strength to share that and to continue to get these messages out, because they don't want other people to have to experience this. So, these problems don't just affect the people who are struggling, they affect their loved ones, their families, their coworkers, all the people that they come into contact with. And that's why, these community-based initiatives are so essential. So are these upcoming events that you just shared, are those part of your grant work? Is there more, besides the data, are there other things kind of on the horizon with this grant? What are you aiming to accomplish?
So, yes, the primary activity that we're doing right now is supporting Recovery Heuristic in what they want to do, which is raising awareness in the community, maybe doing some fundraising, for example, for the men's and women's recovery house, to be decided. Okay, so you will be seeing a lot more from Recovery Heuristic in the future as we help them get a little more organized and directed in doing what they've always been wanting to do. And likewise, just to let you know that there's also an existing recovery support group in Holton. They are going to be, things are a little up in the air as far as what we know there. We're trying to connect with them, but they are putting on an event in October at the Holton Regional Hospital around recovery to raise awareness in the community. And there's also a community recovery center that you can walk into in Holton as well. So our grant is countywide. And so we want to support, we're going to do a model and get things going here because we're based in Caribou too. And then we want to take some of the things that we're learning and that are successful here and bring them to Holton and support that group. And then the big exciting part that we want to do is help the St. John Valley develop its own recovery center. As we know that the 3 parts of our county are all distinctively different. And we're going to build some contacts and talk about building resources in the St. John Valley. The other thing that we want to do is we want to build our team in the county. We already have a pretty good team, but we're building our team of recovery coaches, which is some of them, we'd like to see more of them get paid, but it's a volunteer, and we would love to help anyone, if anyone's interested in volunteering to become a recovery coach. There's a training that you can take online, and basically a recovery coach is a person that coaches someone in recovery with everyday life, getting appointments, getting a job, finding the right clothes to wear to that job, whatever they're finding, any kind of needs that they have as far as navigating the system in their recovery. A recovery coach will do that. And right now, if anyone wants a recovery coach, they just need to show up at the Roads to Recovery Center or Link for Hope in Holton. Contact us. We could also network you into recovery coaches. The other thing that we're doing is we're placing recovery coaches in the hospital, Cary Medical Center, and I believe a couple of other hospitals in the county are actually networking to provide a recovery coach kind of on an on-call basis as needed in the emergency departments of these hospitals. And that's a project of, it's called the Rural Recovery Network, I believe.
That is so needed. I mean, definitely as these issues continue to grow in our communities, we're obviously seeing more and more of this coming into our hospitals and into our healthcare facilities, and seeing the impact of these addictions and substance misuse on the health and wellness of the individuals. And so, it's always great when you can have that person to come alongside and help navigate the multitude of resources that are available. And I know sometimes when they're in recovery, it feels like everything is overwhelming and you're so isolated and alone, but really there are so many resources out there that can help you stay on the road to recovery and get connected with these communities that are growing and having this firm foundation set for them to be something really beautiful and help more people in the future. So thank you so much for all the time and energy that you're putting into this.
I'd like to just put out one call to action for people in our community to really try to have that empathy for recovery and find out more. There are many paths to recovery. Okay, so we will be doing some workshops in the community on what are these pathways to recovery? How can we support people in recovery in our community? There's support groups, there's medication-assisted therapy, which a lot of people need to understand. There's all kinds of education and information that we all need to know to become a true community of recovery.
And I think it starts just like this, with conversations, just like this, where we can talk about these things that people are afraid to talk about and let them know you're not alone, and we're here for you to help in any way that we can, to connect you and help keep you feeling supported.
Exactly.
So anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think I pretty much got all my words in there. So I know you're going to provide some links and some access for people if they hear something that piques their interest and they want to find out more. Probably looking in the notes under the video, they'll be able to get more access to what's going on. And
we
we
will definitely do that. And so
anyone-
September is National Recovery. Is it Recovery Awareness or just National Recovery Month? I never know.
It's probably it's National Recovery Month.
Recovery Month. Okay. So, I mean, we've been focusing on all this month, but everybody who's tuning in, you can find so much more through the month of September. And, you know, they're focusing on the fact that recovery happens in community. It really, really does. And the community foundation behind your recovery is essential for success and for moving on in life and empowering yourself and equipping yourself to be committed for life to your recovery. So thank you so much for being here today, Karen. For those who are watching, we hope we'll see you back here in September, where we're going to be talking all about healthy aging through the month of September. So we'll be back here for Wellness Wednesday Live on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday, and we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us.